Hi, this is Tiffany. I'm back again. So, what I would like to talk about today is why can't we just decide that the way that we do things that come naturally to us, or the inspired action or guidance we receive from an internal source, why can't we just decide that that is going to make us successful? Why do we feel like we have to internalize the external voices that are telling us that we should do things a certain way? So, from a human design perspective, if you're familiar with your design, maybe you've had a reading before, you know that your authority in human design, which is how you know if something is energetically correct for you or not, how you know if something is a yes or no for you or not. We know that in theory, we're supposed to lean into that, allow that be the voice that guides us through life instead of listening to our minds, instead of listening to the external voices that are bringing logic, that are telling us to do things a certain way, that are telling us stories about how the way we will or want to do them is not going to work. And I think what happens is, and this is, I can say this is the case for me as well, we're just moving along in life and we get so used to listening to the external voices that are telling us that how to do things or what to do, and we lose touch with that voice that tells us from the inside what is the right thing to do. Prior to 2020, I was doing a business, a flipping business, where I would go to estate sales and I would find really cool stuff and then I would flip it on eBay or Etsy, sometimes even Amazon, depending. And I love that business. It was so much fun. It lit me up. And then 2020 happened with COVID. And all of a sudden, going into estate sales became something that was really problematic because either they weren't happening anymore or it wasn't going to be as fun. So I decided to lean into the human design aspect of my business. Around that time, I also decided to do some things on YouTube. And so I signed up for a course on how to optimize SEO with a YouTube video, but also tips and tricks and things like that. And also, a part of that course was how to hire a virtual assistant from the Philippines. This course was an amazing course. It was a great course. And it's run by two women who are collaborators, and they are amazing humans. They do an amazing job of delivering the content. They do an amazing job of supporting you, getting you set up with all of the things that you need to have a successful YouTube channel and to also have a virtual assistant that's working with you. The reason I'm bringing this up is because sometimes we can be in situations like a course, the one I just mentioned, where the information is fantastic, where the teachers are amazing, where they're absolutely supportive, where I would recommend them to anyone. But what I encountered while I was taking that course was that every time I would need to go take an action based on the information provided in that course or the advice given, I would find myself meeting up with resistance. So let me give you an example. One of the women suggested that if you have, say, like in my case, human design, she suggested that I put together a package so that somebody could purchase, say, 7 sessions from me, and it would take the customer, the client, on a journey from beginning to end with their human design. And they would be purchasing that larger package and they'd go through those 7 sessions and they'd get an outcome that they were looking for. That's great advice. You know what I mean? It's great advice. However, I sat down during a weekend and tried to pull out a package that would make sense, that felt aligned, and I just couldn't make it happen. I could not do it. It felt like I was trying to give birth to something that I wasn't meant to give birth to, essentially. So I went back and I said, look, I tried to do the thing you suggested and I cannot come up with it. And I quickly started to realize, because of course, at that time, I'm also trying to live my design. I'm thinking to myself, this must not be right for me, or the timing must not be right. So I let go of that idea. And then as I moved through the course, I also started to encounter advice, which I'm sure is best practice in the industry. For example, you should not have a busy background when you do a YouTube video. Look at my background. I was encountering advice like that I'm sure is in best practice, especially if you're somebody who wants to have a YouTube channel that has great production and great lighting and all of the things. Obviously, we don't want to be annoying to people, but they were giving advice that was showing you how to set up a YouTube channel that was going to be highly produced. And being highly produced did not align with me. In fact, the more that I tried to follow all of their advice for having a perfect YouTube channel or a perfect YouTube video, the more out of alignment I felt, the more resistance I encountered. So my point is, we can get really great advice from people who are very successful, who know exactly what they're doing, from people who are supportive, kind, amazing humans, and it's still not going to be in alignment for us. It's still not going to be in alignment. And what's important is paying attention to when that resistance comes up, when we're trying to do something in a way that somebody is telling us to do it, and realizing that it feels like we're moving through molasses. It feels like we're not getting the thing done, and we don't have the energy to back it up. It's like I'm trying to force something to happen. I'm trying to create something that just isn't aligned with me. It's just not aligned. And so I'm sure you have things in your life that have felt like that. There may even be aspects of your job. So if you're going to your job every single day and you have tasks on your list that feel easy and feel and flow, and then there are things that just feel like, oh my gosh, I can barely get this done. That's when we can tell these like mini touch points of understanding of when something really feels in flow and it's aligned, and when things don't feel in flow and they're not aligned. So when it comes to a job, obviously we still have to do the tasks that are probably not aligned unless we have some flexibility. But when it comes to running a business, it's so important to the best of our ability to stay in alignment and keep making these pivots and being okay with releasing the stuff that's maybe not in alignment. So, for example, my YouTube channel, I have basically thrown out the window for the most part everything I was taught, because I was finding that I could not show up authentically. It was actually preventing me from doing the thing that I wanted to do, which was sharing information. Another example I have, which is very recent. So, at the time of this recording, it's December of 2024, and we just passed Black Friday. As you know, a lot of businesses will run Black Friday sales, Black Friday deals. And back in October, I told myself I should run, notice the word should, run a Black Friday sale for my business. But when I sat down to actually make that happen and work on that little project, I encountered so much resistance, and it occurred to me in a split second. Oh my gosh, why am I trying to do a Black Friday sale when I hate Black Friday? It's not in alignment, and I'm not, no hate to anybody who loves Black Friday and loves all the deals. And I'm not saying I don't even participate on a small level, but I am not a person who relishes the thought of Black Friday. It doesn't align with my values, and I'm not a big Christmas person because I'm in a situationship with Christmas because my birthday comes 3 days after. So being in that situation, it just Christmas and Black Friday and all of the goes with becomes very complicated for me. It's a very complicated relationship for me. So I'm telling myself, for me, for somebody else, it might be completely aligned. For me, it's like, why am I trying to do a Black Friday sale when I don't even really like Black Friday, and I'm in a situationship, a very complicated relationship with Christmas? So I tossed that idea out the window. So this is just to illustrate that human design and tools like it are trying to show us we're essentially learning how to live more in alignment so that things feel in flow. And the more you lean into your design, the quicker you will catch when you're encountering resistance in certain activities or certain things you want to do or tell yourself you want to do. And then as soon as you feel that resistance, that's when you know, oh, okay, something's not right here. I need to stop and I need to realign if you can. Like I said, if it's a corporate job and it pays the bills, then that's a different story. But again, just in day-to-day life, if you're encountering things, you meet up against that resistance, things aren't flowing. Instead of telling yourself the story of I'm not productive or I can't be successful or I'm a failure, what we really need to start doing is saying, okay, that's not aligned. Let me wait for the hit, the intuitive voice, or let me move over here in a different direction and see if this feels in alignment. And again, I just want to reiterate from what I said at the start of this video, why can't we just decide that the way we do something, that our approach is going to be successful? Why can't we just decide that that's going to be the case, lean into it, and let the magic happen, and not assigning so much pressure for the outcome that we want, and enjoying the journey a bit more because we are now in flow and we're engaging in more activities or more actions or the things on our to-do list, things that are aligned. And then when we encounter that resistance, we move away from that resistance because that resistance is telling us to go in a different direction, that maybe it's not the right timing for that thing, or maybe we're not supposed to create that thing or make that thing happen. Okay, so I think that's all I have to say on this subject. Thank you so much for listening and take care.